Hey guys, Jim here. Time to share with you an exciting new acquisition, something I've been waiting for a long time to get my hands on, and yes, it's a Christmas miracle! Pretium number 100 is finally here in the house, and I could not be more excited. It arrived a couple of days ago, so I've had a chance to carry it pretty much. Actually, yeah, I've carried it every single day since I got it. Enjoy it, flip it, try to break it in, and I've just been enjoying the living hell out of this thing. And I'm very fortunate that a buddy of mine, J.D. Martin, picked up a standard regular Pretium so that I'm able to give you a side-by-side comparison. And here is his number 25. That he purchased from someone on a forum, and it just happened to be a serendipitous occasion here because he was buying it as mine was arriving, and I put a call out and said, hey, can somebody send me a standard Pretium so I can do a side-by-side comparison for YouTube? And he says, hey man, I got one coming in, this is really awesome. So this is going to work out very well. So what the purpose of this video is to A, show my new acquisition, B, show you the really awesome stuff that Elliot and I worked on to make this a super special variation, and number 3, to do a comparison to an original and talk about how great the standard Pretiums are, especially given the very low price that they sold for. So for right now, I'm going to move mine out of the way, and we're just going to do some standard Pretium talk. What the Pretium is, for those that don't know, is this was a first stab at the mid-tech arena for Elliot. Elliot owns Ferrum Forged Knife Works. It is Elliot Williamson and Mark Donovan that create Ferrum Forged Knife Works. And what Elliot does is he makes only full-on custom knives, period. Something along the lines of this. This was actually a prototype that Elliot made, not a prototype for the Pretium, just a prototype for a totally different model. And he ended up building this and making it his way for him in SM100. And he carried this, and I was able to talk it out of his pocket. This is the type of knife that Elliot typically does. Crazy stuff that nobody else does. Nothing off the shelf, and everything is wild and imaginative and creative. But he also realized that he's cutting out a big segment of the knife buying public because of the price points. So he wanted to make something mid-tech. So by that definition, he was having his titanium slabs pre-cut for him. He was having his blades pre-cut for him. And the idea of the mid-tech is to take all of those preformed things and assemble them together by hand fit the components that had to be hand fit, do his own hand grind, and create something that was somewhat in the middle between production and custom. What ended up happening was, because he can't leave well enough alone and he's a perfectionist, these actually turned out to be a lot more custom than mid-tech when you really break it down. So yes, the titanium and the blades are preformed and sent to him, under his specifications, of course. But instead of just hand-fitting things and then hand-tuning the detent, the action, and the stabilizer, he ended up doing everything else. He started contouring frames, he started adding embellishments to the blades, to the spines, all the way around the titanium. And what you ended up with was a knife that had a lot more handwork in it than it rightfully should have, especially given the price point. And then, of course, as you saw with mine, there's a lot more handwork that went into that. So he says basically he will never do a run of mid-techs at 100 pieces ever again. It consumed his life entirely for these 6 months or so that he was doing this project. It was really, really laborious. And to be fair, I'm thinking he had to have essentially lost money at the end of the day, given the amount of time. Because when we talk about knife making, what you're paying for is not really the materials. That's a small portion of it. The big portion of what you're paying for is time. Time is always money. And with the time you put into these, I'm not thinking he really did so well, money-wise. So let's talk about the packaging. So this is the packaging that would be received. The clear plastic box with the certificate of authenticity in the lid, signed by one Elliot Williamson and Mark Donovan, and then you have Elliot's seal of awesomeness that will accompany each one, and rightfully so. Then you pop this open, and inside you'll have a foam insert where your knife will sit in. This is a really cool display for your house because you've got your knife kind of suspended in there. Not such a great thing for shipping, because what you actually get is a knife like this, or like this, or like this, or like this, or in some other contorted configuration, because it will shift due to shipping. So, really cool idea. It's got to be a nice display. Mine is a little bit different. As you see, the big difference is going to be the serial number. Mine is number 100 out of the 100. I did this because I knew that we were going to be doing some very, very different things, and I didn't want to go to show it to people. Everybody went, oh, I really like that, and have Elliot make theirs like that. So mine is the very last one, so it's too late for that. Nana-nana-boo-boo. Here is Elliot's signature again. Very clearly by this point, he's just gotten lazy. He's just phoning in at this point, going, I'm done with these Pretiums. That's it. No more. And I'm just kidding about that. And then his laser guy actually personalized it for me. I thought that was really, really cool. But here's the funny thing. I'm a little picky when it comes to my name. As you see, there's an extra E in there. That shouldn't be there. And this is actually something that really drives me crazy. Like, it offends me, it bothers me, it pisses me off when somebody says my name wrong or misspells it in that way. But, you know, you got to cut me some slack. I'm turning 40 next month, so 40 years of hearing skeleton, 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 it kind of eats away at you. But here's the thing. I love Elliot to death. So when I opened the box and I saw this, I actually chuckled, and I said, oh, that's Elliot for you. It turns out when I talked to him, he said his laser guy just kind of wanted to play around and do something neat, so he let him put my name in it, and the laser guy obviously doesn't know me as well as Elliot. He misspelled it, and Elliot caught it right away, thought it was amusing, and sent it that way purposefully. Good thing Elliot and I share the same kind of sense of humor, and I found it funny instead of offensive. All right, so getting down to brass tacks here, what you're looking at is a 3.5-inch blade, titanium sides for the handles. And you've got the Hinderer style over travel protection. I'm not going to call it a Hinderer style stabilizer because it does not stabilize the lock bar from going in that direction. By the way, this is a defective knife at this point that is going to be sent back to Elliot. The seller did not let JD know that there was that issue with it. I discovered it, let JD know. So this is not a representation of Elliot's work. There's just, you know, it's a simple defect that he's going to take care of. But it, as you see, does not stabilize it in that up and down position. It only prevents it from over travel. So there you go. You will get the CNC milled lines throughout the top third of the handles. And you see the shape of the blade. Very useful. Very, very, very useful. It's got a nice choil on there, so you can choke up on it. It's got a nice belly to the blade. Great edge on this. Nice mirrored edge. Satin flats. A little bit of a swedge coming down there. And then the stone-washed primary bevel. Ferrum Forge logo here on this side of the blade. This side of the blade is naked. The numbering of each knife was in the top third of the handles there. And you're going to have a lock bar insert made of steel, the same steel as the blade, which is Elmax. Elmax, oh, that controversial steel. It's actually a fantastic steel, and where the controversy comes in, and where it kind of got its black eye, was from production knives like Zero Tolerance and Lion Steel, for example. And you got to realize, Elmax really is one of the best blades, one of the best super steels out there for edge retention. And you're thinking, well, I know 10 guys that got an Elmax knife, and I'll never have Elmax because they lost their edge in like a day or two. True. Because after the heat treat, when these production companies are handing a stack of blades, 100 blades to one guy to grind, and okay, you got to get these done today, they're grinding them too fast, and they're not quenching them at the right times, so they're burning up the heat treat. They're just burning right through it. So now you have a non-tempered edge, which is not going to hold an edge, very obviously. Guys like Elliot, who have worked with Elmax quite a lot, know what to do. They know how to grind their blades. They know when they have to quench, when they don't have to quench. And they know not to burn through their friggin' heat treat. So what you get is amazing edge retention and a really good quality steel. So I'm really glad that he chose Elmax for these. As you see, the operation is smooth. You have a bearing style pivot. Oops, sorry about that. So it's got nice smooth operation, flips open with authority, and it's very comfortable in the hand. It's got mild contouring all the way around the frames. So it feels actually even better than it looks. Now let's talk about the differences between a standard Pretium and mine. A few people did get somewhat embellished Pretiums. The first one went to Bob. He went all black DLC with his, and he got, I believe it was a Timascus contoured clip. But that was the extent of it. The most custom ones that you will see are mine and Jeff's Tough Thumbs. Obviously, Jeff and Elliot are very, very close friends, and Elliot made him a very special one. It's still the same frames, but he did some really cool hand carving in the titanium, and he made him a custom. I don't know if it was a custom blade or if it was a reprofiled Pretium blade. I don't know which of the two it was, but his has a style more alike to the Blunt Predator. It looks a lot like that. Mine, however, is a complete custom hand-built blade. It was not a Pretium blade. It was completely custom made for me for this knife, and you'll notice right away that the flipper stance is quite a bit different. It's straight and erect, tee-hee, and it's going to be quite a bit longer, giggity. So let's take a good look at these side-by-side close. For one, you'll see that mine is the one and only existing Pretium done in a bolster style look. So you have an inlay of the silver wire lightning strike carbon fiber, and it is a seamless inlay. There is no detectable jump between the titanium and the carbon fiber, and also the screw is nicely flush. Like if you run your finger across this, you really can't tell that it's not one material. He did this so fantastic. And up here as well. I mean, you can't tell that there's a separate material there. Another difference will be I do not have a standard Pretium pivot. What I've got is a zirconium pivot. I also have a zirconium thumb stud. These guys get the steel thumb studs, but they get the conical turned thumb studs on both sides. Mine is a single-sided thumb stud. And let's see, what else is there? We'll flip the knife over. And this was a choice everyone had, not just me. You could go for the standard spring clip for the standard price of the Pretium, or you could pay a little bit extra, and you could get the 3D contoured titanium clip, which is what I opted for. That was the first thing I knew that I had to have. Because listen, when you've got a guy that makes $1,000 to $2,000 knives on a daily basis, and he decides, I'm going to make a quote-unquote production knife for under $500, what can I do to get those prices down there? One is not him spending all the time doing every little bit of work, like CNCing his own parts and whatnot. The other thing is going to a standard, lesser expensive clip. This actually saves you a lot of money. I didn't care about saving money. I wanted something special, so a few of us did this. The other difference is going to be in the over travel for the lock bar. There you see the standard, which looks great, functions wonderfully. Then you have mine, which is lightning strike carbon fiber. It doesn't change the way that it operates, it just looks a little bit nicer and it ties together the theme. Another difference is I have smooth edges on my titanium instead of that rock pattern, which is actually done on purpose to go with the very clean and a little bit dressier look of this bolstered style look that we went for here. When you take a look at the blades from here, you'll see I have a different pattern on my blade. Then you get to the spine work, and this is a really, really nice rough rock pattern that goes all the way through the blade. That's on the standard Pretiums. Mine actually has two textures. I have a somewhat rough rock texture just on the very edges. Then it gets to a finer texture in the center. And you'll notice that my blade drops off significantly with two prominent swedges. There's a reason for that. We'll get to it here in a second. So there they are side by side. Mine also has a greater degree of contouring around here as well. So it's a little bit more round, not by much, but it's a little bit more massaged than the standard Pretiums. So there they are side by side. And here's where the big difference comes in. We see that blade shape that comes on all of the Pretiums. And then we have mine. My blade stock is a lot taller. Put them side by side. You get a chance to see that. And by the way, the lanyard did not come with it. I actually got this from Edge Observer. Check them out at edgeobserver.com. Great lanyard, really cool titanium work. I picked up a couple, and when he does another run, I'll certainly be getting more. Just wanted to give a little shout out to Andrew there. He did just a really amazing job on that lanyard. So as you see, my blade is a little bit taller. My choil is a little bit larger, a little bit more prominent. And then, of course, I have a compound ground tanto with a slight bit of belly to it. It has a very prominent tip. That's what she said. Very nice swedge coming down. And you'll see how thick it is at the tip. Giggity. This is a substantial blade right here. He did a fantastic job on the edge. It is laser sharp. It is crazy, ridiculous sharp. Every bit as sharp as my Zero Ground SM100 custom that he built. I've got the same finish as far as the flats go. My primary bevel, as you see, is a little bit darker. Not that that's really a big deal, but there is a little difference there. Now again, there's the Ferrum Forge logo on the standard Pretiums. Mine does not have that. What I have is Elliot's signature instead, because that's what he does on his custom knives. As an example, we'll bring the SM100 back into frame, and there it is again. EW, EW. Where the Pretium blades are naked on this side, mine does denote that it's LMAX and its birth date of 12/2013. Overall, a very clean design, very useful blade. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. This got a hell of a workout yesterday on Christmas, opening up all my kids' plastics, you know, all the toys coming out, these plastic things with the plastic wire ties and all that shit. This actually cut a lot of stuff yesterday, and there's not even a mark on it. Another reason I love LMAX. It's just super tough. It is a rocket. It opens with authority, whether you rock back on the flipper or you kind of push button it and preload it. It is a wonderful flipping action. And it's exactly what you expect from Elliot. I mean, it is a monster, insane flipper. He did a fantastic job on both. Again, aside from the one defect that's on this one, where that lock bar just doesn't want to stay still. I have not heard of that being an issue on any of the other 98 Pretiums that are in existence, so it's not something I would really make a call out for concern. I think the only thing that I would change on the standard Pretiums, that would also include mine, is the fact that there's no actual lanyard attachment. It's a good thing that Elliot tends to run a shorter blade to handle ratio, so what you actually have here is a standoff that's far enough away that you don't have to worry about the tip of the blade hitting that lanyard. So you can just simply loop a lanyard through the final standoff and you are good to go. So it worked out perfectly for me. Because for whatever reason, there's some knives that I choose not to use lanyards and some that I do. Now, that is it for the Pretiums. There are no more Pretiums, but there are going to be 2 more runs, at least, of mid-tech knives. One he's simply calling Model 2, and one he's calling Model 3. As you heard me state before, I'm going to be, basically I want to own everything that Elliot puts out. I did drop off of the number 2 list, however, and here's the reason why. 2 other people did it for the exact same reason. You guys know that I have a profound respect for Elliot, but when you take on a partner that's got a really strong business sense, that's always a good thing for you as a business. It may not always be the best thing for your customer if that person's interacting with the end user. Everything was all well and good until I got the email. And the email said, okay, we need your deposit, which was a rather steep deposit, I'll be honest with you. $250 deposit on an $800 knife or $850. That's a bit steep, but that's fine. But I know there were a lot of people that were concerned going, well, this is within 2 weeks of Christmas. And that's what I responded with, dude, it's 2 weeks before Christmas, and you're asking people to give you $250. That's a bit much. And the other part was he had to sign a contract. And I know the contract, for the most part, was due to me because of this knife. And the contract basically says you will not ask for embellishments. Nothing will be changed. You're buying the knife as is, the way it's being offered. And if it was Elliot that was saying either on a video on YouTube or in an email saying, hey, I can't do any embellishments, guys. It's the way it is. Please respect that. I would have been totally on board with that. I'm just not the kind of guy that likes to be told what to do, especially in a contract form where I'm being basically demanded. I will not do this, and I will do this, and I will not do that. I'm sorry, that just doesn't fly with me. So poor decision on Mark's part on that. And listen, I'm not saying that he did it without Elliot knowing about it. Of course he did. I'm sure he had many discussions about it. It just could have been handled differently. A contract sent through the initial contact email, not the way to go. So I dropped out for that reason. 2 other people I know did as well. It's just the way it is. And I really hope for Model 3 that doesn't happen again. Find a softer way to do it. Let Elliot be the one to do it. And a lot of us will understand a lot better. But, that's the only negative experience I have out of any of this. That's it. I still love Elliot. I still love Ferrum Forge. I think that everything sitting here in front of me is awesome. This goes with me to the grave. That will never be for sale. And I really don't see a need to ever sell this one. It's replacing a lot of knives I currently have that are being sold. So, yeah, I'm really happy. So, Elliot, thank you for all of your patience with me on this, all of the hard work, and the expertise in which you crafted this. I am beyond words happy and excited, and I feel very honored to have the knife, and I feel honored to call you a friend. Guys, I'm out of here for now. I got to take off. I got a lot of other videos to do, so I'm going to try and catch up on them as quickly as I can.